Joe! Joe の野郎。鬼姫が完全にぶっ潰しやがって。
Oh my god. Hello everyone, welcome to Joe Consumes Cinema. I am your host, New Beginnings, and today we have Ashita no Joe, episode 24. Last episode was really good. Saw Rikishi's featherweight debut. He was a lightweight, dropped down to featherweight. That is a plan, I'm 100% certain, in order to, allow himself the opportunity to eventually fight Joe. I'm very curious if he's cutting a lot of water weight to make that, featherweight mark, but something to keep in mind going forward. And hopefully, as it's structured, the show, I think it's clearly setting up, the eventual fight between the two, the trilogy match. Probably like finale, like near finale territory we're talking about, so it's going to be a ways away, but just something to keep in mind. Prediction now. I think he's cutting a lot of water weight. That could even be a factor in the fight, just something to take note of. But yeah, Rikishi did really well, backed by the Shiraki gym. Found out that the grandfather used to be a boxer himself, didn't have too good of a career. Happens a lot. Joe was super amped up. Joe finally gets out of jail. The Dirt Clod War, really cool send-off for Joe. And now we're at a point where he should be going, with Dangpei to open that boxing gym of their own. And hopefully characters like Nishi and, Oyama show up and train alongside Joe. I think that'd be really cool. But yeah, I really want to get to this one because I think we may even get, depending on how fast they go here, we might even get, Joe's debut match, which would be awesome. Maybe a little too fast. Might have to, tap the brakes on that. But I think that'd be pretty cool start. If not this episode, maybe even next episode. Hopefully, if we don't get, his debut match, we get something along the lines of another, Ashita no Joe lesson, number 8, I believe. He already did 7 of them. But yeah, I am very eager to get to this one. But before we begin, as always, remember to blank, blank, and blank. Still very much a small channel, so every like, comment, share, subscribe that we can get really helps out. Really appreciate it. Patreon link down below. With that, let's get right to it. Sando baku ni kao mega ake tatake 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 ashite wa kiito ashite wa dochi da. It looks like Sachi's shoe. Probably threw it at Joe's head to welcome him back. Return to Slum Town. He's kind of become like a local celebrity. Not for good reasons, but he does have his supporters. Dangpei's in a rush here. It's beautiful. Really nice moment here. It's very makeshift, but it'll do. And it's better than the prison, that's for damn sure. Mammoth? Awesome. He's got a fighting name. Good guy Nishi to the rescue. Okay, so Dangpei is still financing it with Nishi's help here. Is this from the Shiraki gym Rikishi's doing? Wannabes? Is that a funeral flower arrangement? Is that why it's such an insult? The black and white flowers? There it is. Of course it's him.
Nani? 少年院ボケのお前の頭を冷やしてやっただけさ。つまりな、ボクシング協会の認定を受けていないクラブは単なる剣闘ごっこに過ぎんということさ。要するにプロの俺が遊んでやることもできないってわけさ。なんだとこの野郎。やいやいやいやいやい。力士ってわじゃ話になんねえ。出てこい。あいにくお前と違って俺は今ちょっと忙しい体だもんでな。
What the hell is he gonna do? Run all the way to Tokyo? Oh shit. Beating the shit out of him. Yeah, he's trying to protect him here. A lot more people rooting for him than I would have thought. Is he drinking alcohol again? Bridge of Tears.
人生に敗れ生活に疲れ果ててこのドヤ街に流れてきた人間たちが涙で渡る悲しい橋だからよ。だから今度はわしとお前とでこの涙橋を逆に渡り明日の栄光を目指して第一歩を踏み出したいと思う。そして今まで以上に涙を流さなきゃならねえかもしれねえ。だからこれ負け犬が流すクソ涙じゃねえ。なあジョーよ。二人で苦しみ二人で歯を食いしばってこの涙橋を逆に渡っていこう。涙橋を逆に渡るか。
Feels good to be back.
生まれて初めてだぜ。眠っちまうのがお芝なんて。
Ashitaを目指して立ち上がる。立て立て立て立つんだジョー。Okay, I took a little bit of time to gather my thoughts. Episode 24, another really good one. Joe gets out, reunion with everybody, with the kids, the townspeople, Dangpei, and Dangpei immediately has a surprise to show Joe. That's why he's so eager to get him away from everybody so he can show it to him. And it's that they've opened up their own boxing club, the Dangpei Boxing Club. He built it under the bridge, which we later learn is the Bridge of Tears. Really, really cool. It's very makeshift, but, a lot of people chipped in. Big upgrade from, the stuff he was using at the prison. That's for damn sure. So, and it also, it's in the slum that he knows and, calls home anyway. So it just feels like he's finally back to where he belongs. Everybody's, so happy to see Joe. He's in a really good mood. And then the flower funeral arrangement shows up as an insult from Rikishi. And it says, Dangpei Boxing Club Wannabes. Apparently, they're not fully licensed. They're not like an actual boxing club legitimately. So, yeah, Rikishi heard and kept tabs on Joe, figured out when he finally got out, and, sure enough, got word in his own way, insulting him, but, wanted to reach out. And of course, Joe gets, riled up, takes a phone call from Rikishi. Rikishi brags about, how he's been so busy, fighting all this time, moving up the ladder. Joe just wants to seek him out immediately and, fight him right then and there. And I thought, like, at one point he was literally just going to walk to Tokyo, which I'm pretty sure is where Rikishi is right now, or at least that's where he's fighting. Fortunately, then Nishi shows up and stops him, forcefully. Joe, I think, has matured, but at the same time, he has certain triggers. Rikishi is probably the biggest one. Once he gets it in his head that he's done something to insult Joe, that's all that's there. It's all he can think about. So, of course, he just wants to fight him immediately, and he's just going to march off and, try and find him to get into trouble. Nishi stops him, thank God. We learned that Nishi has been training, at the Dangpei Boxing Club. He's got a nickname now. He fights under Mammoth Nishi, which is really cool. That's a perfect nickname for him, by the way. And when he sees Joe, run off trying to get into trouble again, he gets really upset with them and forcefully stops him. He's starting to get pretty good in his own right, and he's bigger than Joe, too. So when he starts throwing punches at him, they start connecting. It really hurts. But yeah, Joe finally comes around to the idea that Nishi is talking about. Look, if I really want to challenge Rikishi, I have to do it, appropriately in the boxing ring, which means a lot of hard work and dedication before we, get that chance. The townsfolk throw a huge party for Joe. Big celebration. He has a bigger fan base than even I would have thought. I thought it was mostly the kids in Dangpei. But no, he has a bit of a reputation, and even though he was a troublemaker, still people kind of connect with him in his story and are rooting for him actively. So, really good thing. That's a nice support structure right there that I think he's going to rely on more and more throughout, these next, like, 40 something episodes, whatever it is. Joe breaks off from the party for a little bit, and, Dangpei shows up. He talks about why it's called the Bridge of Tears. This slum is a place where, all the refuse people that, had a lot of trouble in life. Things didn't go their way. They sort of wind up ending here. Yeah, it's called the Bridge of Tears for a reason because people come here and as they're going in, it's like, they're crying, filling the water with their tears. But Dangpei assures Joe that it's going to be different this time, that we're going to be crying tears of happiness and, crossing the bridge the other way. I think it gives the location of the Dangpei Boxing Club a little bit more meaning behind it, and it was a really cool, very touching scene. And yeah, this is the first time in Joe's life where he actually has, multiple people in his corner. It's kind of like a surrogate family. Really good thing. That support structure for a boxer is very important, and I think it's going to be something that Joe relies on heavily going forward. But yeah, another really good episode. I think maybe next episode we might get Joe's first, debut fight at featherweight. That'd be really cool. Again, not too sure. Might be, hitting the gas a little bit too much. We could get an entire episode where, Joe just gets back into shape. But yeah, that's all I can think to say for now. So as always, thanks for watching and peace.